It's the first time in like 1,000 weeks that we've been live, and I'm so stoked that we're here to talk about Savage Worlds with Lenora. So, for those of you who tuned in the last time, you'll remember like, wait, Lenora had a character. So we thought we had it all sorted, and the good news is we have time, right? Because we haven't started the campaign. So it'd be a much different conversation if we were halfway through the campaign, I think. But Lenore, tell us. So what motivates this rethink of your character?
I mean, basically just trying to shift gears into finding like my comfort zone as far as playing with a new group of people. I really sometimes I tend to make like, edgelordian decisions about like, oh, I'm going to be this like cool badass like marksman with like the silent, ranger type. And then like the more I kind of thought about it, and especially with like just the state of the world and everything being so like crazy and like heavy duty, I am not like that as a person very often. Like I am not, stoic or silent. So I kind of wanted to switch gears and do something a bit more like fun. And like typically when I play D&D, I love to play my favorite class is the rogue class because I find that it is a way to kind of be a bit of a bastard but also be a badass. So I wanted to bring like my favorite D&D class that I'm very comfortable with and kind of switch it into something that is Savage Worlds. And honestly, like mechanically, I've virtually made no changes
Right.
to the character sheet. I finished up gear and like kind of looked at everything, but the hindrances, habits, alertness, like advances or edges, pretty much have stayed all the same. But yeah, basically just switching the personality behind the character sheet to be more fun. is
I like that,
Yeah.
and you know what else I like. First, you're new to Myth Brigade. You're new to the channel. And so I was thinking the whole time, like, Dad, it's kind of a bummer if you're going to be that laid back and just kind of there with your arms crossed and your hat low. Like that won't really let you shine as much. So I think that's exciting, for sure. So what? So we talked a lot about your sort of history and what's changed from your perspective. Like what's new? Do we have that? We're talking the same name, the same general description. Like what? Give us the rundown.
So I think the rundown for me right now is a totally different background. Like I think that same name, so I'm sticking with Ashley Butcher. I think that Ashley is someone who grew up kind of, headed out west, like during the expansion. Kind of grew up around like horses, around guns, like with her family. Maybe it was for protection. I haven't really given too much thought, honestly, about like family connections,
Hmm.
because the other like more major change I think is that originally I was going to play Ashley as someone who was like around like my age, maybe like 25 to 30. Um, uh, but I've kind of decided I think it would be really fun to have her be a bit more weathered. And the reason she's such like a remarkable marksman is because she's had a lot of years to like practice this. So I'm thinking that she's kind of going to be more around the ages of like 45 to 50, definitely a bit
Oh,
saltier.
nice.
Uh,
I just noticed that I'm super blurry. I have no idea what that's about. But when you first said more weathered, I immediately thought Grandma Clampett
yeah.
uh, from the Beverly Hillbillies. But I'm glad to hear you say that she's not as old as I am. So that's good. So she's so that's awesome. So has she been out west for a long time? Um,
Um, I my yeah, like my original thought was that she's someone who's pretty comfortable in the environment. I'm so sorry, I like jumped on that
no, no.
interruption, but I'm excited. um, but I think the major backstory thing that I did kind of work out is that the reason, like what she does, and kind of how she makes her living, is as a like theatrical sharpshooter, like in a show. So she would be doing silly things like standing on a horse's back while it trots around the ring and like shooting at targets and kind of like I think
That's awesome.
she's someone who is like she's still very grumpy and I think a little bit of like a curmudgeon, but she makes her living doing this act, and like that is how she, makes her way in the world.
That's really cool. And I actually, just right off the bat, I can see a potential link of some sort between you and Byron's character, who's also a little bit of a sharpshooter, but not like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out in the Bonds episode. So how did she get into like theatrical sharpshooting? Because that requires just this innate skill, but what drove her to that?
Well, I think she saw it as an opportunity to make money and make her own way as a woman without having to depend like on getting married and like going or doing something that she considered like more menial, like working in a bar or working on a farm. I think she has an adventurous enough spirit and enough like true Western grit to want to be enterprising. And back in the day, it was I think, and very much so, harder for a woman to do that. So I liked the idea of having a character who's a bit more savvy and a bit more like like self-starting, enterprising, essentially.
So I could see situations in her past where something about her innate ability to to do this stuff, this sort of sharpshooting stuff, she showed an awful lot of people up, probably put some of the fellas in town to shame. That's pretty awesome. How are her goals changed? I would guess there's been a fairly significant goal shift, right?
I guess I haven't really thought too much about the original goals of like the concept that I had like originally had. I think that mostly for like switching gears, I've just been thinking about the new build, and I think that of course I think getting money, getting rich is one of the big ones. So that again, like if I got my own money, I don't need anybody else. So kind of wanting to be independent and like self-reliant mostly, but also I think which is one of the things that I want to bring more into it just for fun is I think that Ash really likes fun, and so having money allows you to do stupid stuff that
Nice.
You wouldn't normally be able to do. So
Can
just
she-
having like this weird mischievous streak.
Can she drink the boys under the table? Is that because it sounds like she's pretty wild, like she's underestimated at every turn, right?
I think that she's less of a drink the boys under the table in a showboating kind of way, and more of a just like she likes getting drunk and she's gonna do it, and she's just gonna sit and drink until she feels good. Like
she's gonna be a riot. I can't wait. So let's rewind and remind everyone, because I don't know, over time probably the old episode will find its way off the channel, but obviously you're human, but what hindrances and edges did you take?
So hindrances, I took 2 minor. 2 minor and 1 major. Yeah. So I took the curious hindrance, which was in the original one. And again, I feel like that is essential to my personality and me having fun as a player, is having somebody to just be like, yeah, I'm just totally going to go poke that thing that you should not poke. Like, so that's going to stay the same.
Is it because she feels, about that? Is it because she feels invincible? Like, what makes her so willing to sort of risk to satisfy her curiosity? What do you think it is?
I think it's confidence. I think and a little bit of invincibility. I think that she's someone who, like I said, she's a bit more weathered. Like, she's been in a couple of scrapes. She knows how to move around, fight. She knows that she can hit a target from a mile away. So I think that it's more of like, just like being a little bit cocksure as far as like, if I get into trouble, like I can find my way out of it. Probably.
You say she's been in a fight. Is she a scrapper? Will she straight up fist fight somebody if they get up in her business, or what?
Yeah, I did. I spent some points to give her D6 in fighting. It's not much, but she can throw a punch. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other hindrances? So you said curious. What else?
Curious, cautious. Again, though, I think I kept, like I said, these were the same as the other ones. So it was the other minor hindrance was cautious. So although she's curious, again, she's going to be the first person to probably the first person to get into a bad situation because of her curiosity, but also have an escape plan and also be like, all right, well, if we're gonna go in and do this, we're gonna do it right. Um, and the third one was the habit. I just stuck with smoking because I think that's funny.
That's awesome.
This little
And it's still
chimney stack
cigars,
over there.
right? It's like those little black like Clint Eastwood cigars, right? Little Western cigars. That's amazing. No tobacco chewing and spitting big globs of gross all over the ground.
Nah, it's she likes the smoke. She reminds her like gun smoke, and she thinks it makes her look cool. Although
Yeah.
smoking is bad, kids don't do it at home.
This is true, but I gotta be honest, it probably does make her look cool at this stage. About another 10, 15 years, not so much, because cancer comes and stuff. But I mean, just think, she's physically. What are we talking about in terms of Ash? What has anything about that? Well, actually, it has changed. She was a lot younger. So, if there was sort of a sort of old black and white photo, what would it look like? She's just there with a cigar and like what clothes and things like that.
Yeah, I wish that I had my sketchbook accessible right now, but I do not. But someday I will probably throw up some art, or throw art your way. I did a sketch, and it came out as I never really planned when I start sketching. I mostly think about like the character and like what they would be doing in that instant. And I think I drew her with a rifle, kind of like, holding it here, resting over her shoulder, a little bit out the back, and then like a cigarette, and then holding the reins of a horse. Like, so that was kind of, or not even, I think she might've been like reaching for a pistol, like on her thigh or something. But basically this is somebody who she's the first person to stand and kind of like look down at the world a little bit, like, I got you.
Yeah.
So, but she is older. She's probably anywhere between like 45 to 55. Yeah. So I think I'm just gonna go like straight 50 years old.
Straight 50. There you go. That's good.
And she's got super, super weather beaten tan skin. Like she looks like, just leather. Just dark sunburn over years.
She looks like a saddlebag. That's amazing.
Yes, and the smoking doesn't help. So she's got some heavy duty lines on the face.
So, given that she's a little bit older, so what have the life experience has been like? So, has she been alone all this time and just kind of traveling and doing crazy stuff? Has she had romances that have come and gone? Like, what's her? And we can kind of figure that out as the campaign goes on as well. But has there been a past, or is she really a loner?
Oh no, she's had a past. I'm sure she's had a few flings. But I think specifically part of the reason that she, still exists and does this and does what she does is that I don't think marriage was ever, something that she was ever really interested in. Or if she did try that, it was when she was like really young and really naive, and then maybe that's even part of why she was like, "No, this is not for me. I'm out."
Maybe she left the guy with some kind of strange note at the altar or something like, and that's why she left, headed west. Like, nope, that's not gonna be me. I love that so much. I like the fact that there's still a layer of mystery there for us to play with story-wise, because you could bring in people from her past that might be seeking her out for one reason or another, but it's human mystery as well, so it humanizes the character a lot, which I think is great. Very cool. How do you think so? In just in a given day, so I'm just thinking about like what is Ash's daily situation like? She gets up. I mean, she travels from town to town, performing her show until people get bored of it. Like, how does that play out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I think she travels. She tries to find groups of travelers and people to kind of like, maybe travel in a pack for a bit. I think that she's solitary in the fact that like, she's not tied down by anything, but I think she likes to be around people, and she likes to make, little connections. And because she is technically like a showman, she has to kind of like be a certain amount of like friendly on the surface until she gets to be like, all right, the money's in the hat. Now I'm going to go.
Yeah. Then she gets quiet. She's like, I'll see you later. I got a drink.
Literally. And so I think that she kind of does. She just kind of bounced around. There might be like a couple of fellow travelers that she's spent a decent amount of time with. She probably did like, like an Old West like show at one point, but mostly might have even fallen out of graces with them. Those are all things I want to leave a little bit more open to kind of play with. But I do think that she gets up in the morning, checks all her equipment, makes sure the guns are working well, puts on the cruddy Stetson that she has, and saddles up on her horse. Her horse's name is Succotash, aka Sucker.
That's awesome, Sucker. And you got, so Byron's character is the one with the horrible horse that bites him and messes with it, like it's the jacket, right? And yours is like yours is a proper horse.
Oh yeah, Succotash is well trained, but you know.
So, Ash, are you a law-abiding citizen? Is that, you know, or you do what you want? Like, how does that play out?
Oh yeah, she's not. I don't think she's wanted, but
Is she?
probably not friends with many, you know, officers of the law. Again, being a kind of like an independent, unmarried, like older lady, she's bound to be someone that like people don't necessarily know what to do with. So I think that it makes her uncomfortable to be around like law enforcement, and they are probably equally as uncomfortable around her in certain situations. So I think she's probably gotten thrown in jail a couple times for getting really drunk and raucous, but shooting off guns in the middle of the night in the town type thing.
You can imagine that situation, right? When the local sheriff, there's probably been a scene where it played out this way. The local sheriff didn't realize who was creating the ruckus, and he came to investigate and figure it out. And it's Ash, and maybe he was at her show earlier that day, and he's just like, oh shit, like this ain't gonna go down well at all.
Yeah.
How about supernatural stuff, superstition? Is she a God-fearing woman? Is she what?
I think that's part of what drove her to be who she is and be more independent. I think that she might have been religious in her youth, and obviously, like most people out west had a certain exposure to, you know, the church and to Jesus Christ. But
Good old JC.
I think that, yeah, good old JC. I think that she is someone who found the church stifling, especially because she is someone who values her own independence so much. So I don't think she likes established religions, but I don't think that excludes her from being superstitious about like other spirituality. And I think probably this is a person that has maybe paid more attention to like native cultures, folklore, and has you know, talked to immigrants from, you know, wherever back west, like, you know, Irish immigrants or Italian and Chinese maybe, who have been out there. And she's someone who's probably paid more attention to that and given it some serious consideration instead of just being like, oh, this is hogwash, you know?
You know, as I think about that, you're saying that you found religion to be stifling. Maybe you were about to marry a local reverend. You know, maybe, and you know, he in his church, and his daddy was gonna marry us, like we always said, Ashley. And he called you with your middle name. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just like, fuck that, and out you went. And I could see that being just this beginning of a Tarantino movie. So,
yeah, no, I dig it.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I'm thinking they must have her fears changed? What are Ash's fears these days?
I think definitely getting caught, getting put in jail, like real lockup is one of the big ones for her, because again, she's free-spirited and she spent her whole life out in the world, you know, save for those couple nights she had to, you know, sober up in the drunk tank. But generally, I think she's someone who really fears tethers and just confinement. So I think like claustrophobic almost in a way.
I can see that, and I like that that's real world. It's easier to get there, you know, knowing that there's a supernatural component to the Deadlands. But I'm trying to figure out a way to sort of minimize that. I don't want this to be like a shooting up zombies campaign, right? I want there to be this underlying dread with a veneer of just like shooting everything that moves kind of thing. So I like that there's some real world. Like, you don't want to get put in the pokey, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. So anything that might change. So we talked about what something that your fellow characters would know about you. So what's changed there? Very likely, some of the things you've shared are obvious ones, but what's something that those who are close to you might already know?
I think that people who spend enough time around Ash to get to know her definitely know that although she seems, like a curmudgeon who likes to just get drunk and smoke her cigarettes and, bitch about stuff, she definitely is a loyal person. And if you do her, she's got you back. So I think that's definitely a different direction than I was going in the initial kind of mock-up of this character, because I think originally I was coming from more of like an angle of like, oh, don't mess with Ash, like she'll get you. But I think this is more of like, Ash is a bastard, but she's got your back.
Yeah, she's like hardcore. And what the thing before too, that I think is important here. So before, you made a comment, and I don't remember the specific quote, but it was essentially minimizing the fact that Ash was a woman. People weren't even certain most of the time, right? Because she kind of cloaked herself in a way that made that less apparent. I like that. She's literally in your face. Like, here I am, right? Hear me roar. Here's what I'm about. And her friends would know that she's a bastard, and maybe she beat the hell out of one of them in a drunken rage over something stupid, right? Over a card game or whatever. But I can see, you've got, if you watched John's stream, for example, he's got a gambler. And so can you imagine the sideshow that's going on while you're doing your performance, and he's like going around and picking up, bets against or for that. Look, this little lady thinks she could shoot anything that moves, and then all of a sudden you're, shooting through the head of a needle or whatever. It's just like really good. So I applaud you for stepping out, because I think it is important. The one thing that strikes me is often, players will make female characters, and in particular the ones that I've ever played with anyway, they don't really step out and really kind of make it about like, hey, here I am, and I'm unique because I am female, and also I'm a bastard. I love this. You're gonna, I have a feeling that you're just gonna wind up beating the hell out of your fellow players and all the bad guys, and we didn't talk through edges. What edges did you add or change, if any? You froze. Oh wait. What in the fucking hell? Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. I don't know at what awkward moment we lost the stream, but I can tell you that Len froze right after I said something to the effect of, it's really cool that you're bringing the female element forward and adding these components like being a bastard and being a scrapper, being a shooter, because I think it's really empowering. And you can't all be about gender or race or whatever, but I do think it's really cool to highlight that, right, as something that stands out. That's like novel worthy. That's why people read books, right? Because it's got a badass character with something that makes them super unique. In this case, it's bastarddom. So yeah, I don't know where we left off, to be quite honest, before the internet shit all over the bed. But any last things that you want to get across to the Myth Brigade audience about this character and why she's going to be awesome?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping to bring like a kind of some fun to the team. I think Ash is going to be a badass. Of course, she knows how to fight. She knows how to shoot. So that's a given in any tabletop RPG. But yeah, I think mostly get ready for some probably cringe-worthy moments, and also like, oh really, is that gonna pan out well? Don't do that type moments, because I think that this is going to be a fun character who's going to get into a lot of trouble.
Hijinks comes to mind, right? Like that is, yeah, and we need that, right? Like a good action movie needs those crazy moments where like, don't jump off that, don't into the fire, really, like don't, oh she's fine. Let's just hope the dice, let's please hope that the dice are kind to you, because Myth Brigade, like, talk to John, talk to the guys on the Tides of Nurgle campaign, the dice are awful.
Yeah, I'm dreading some bad rolls because I know that I'm going to put myself in position to be making difficult rolls.
What I love about the system, though, is you've got bennies, right? So you've got that ability to kind of affect your outcomes if you're careful with them, to sort of spend them in the right moments. And one of the major things that you get rewarded these benefits for, right, like the little tokens, is role play. And so everything is really adding up to me to be like just really theatrical. To me, that's what this campaign is about. Is just fast-paced fun, probably a lot of laughing. Probably I'm going to spill something. That's happened before. But yeah. So you have a D&D game. We were just talking about that while you're trying to wait for the internet to come back on. Someone turn the internet switch off, ladies and gentlemen. But you have a D&D game to get to. I think, though, that this is your character, though, right? I think we nailed it. I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to play, and I'm honestly, like I said, I got so excited a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, I can't wait to start this. So I did a little character sketch, and I think I'm really kind of in my comfort zone as far as like ready to get into some hijinks, like you said.
And I can't wait. So the channel is going to leverage Len's talents around art. So she's a fantastic sketch artist, but also I bet it's like some of the just quick sketches that I've seen. I'm like, damn, I can't wait. So we're going to do character sketches. It'll all be kind of original, which is awesome. And for those of you who might see this, if you need character sketches and you're willing to pay $25,000 a piece, she's there, right? Like she's just waiting for your orders.
The price is non-negotiable, unfortunately. That's the baseline, so
It's like it's $10 per line stroke, really. But it's quality. Lead-free pencil, is that a thing? Lead-free? It's like charcoal pencil.
Yeah, charcoal pencil.
Science will get there. Probably that's what Elon Musk is doing right now, is figuring out the lead-free pencil. All right, Len. Well, listen, I'm gonna call it a day. But thank you so much for taking the time to go over this character kind of extension. I think I'll post this, and I'm gonna update the thumbnail on the other one that says "Watch this one," so they don't get confused. Right? They go, what the fuck is she doing? Awesome. So for the rest of you guys on the Savage World campaign, so John and Mike, Byron, this is gonna happen this month here in July. And for everybody else who happens to be watching this, we hope you are good. We hope you are safe. And please, watch the world around you with your eyes open as much as you do videos on YouTube, because there's some serious shit going on, and you could make a difference if you tried. So thank you, Lynn.
Of course.
I'm gonna take the magic one. Oh man, my mouse cursor went away. I can't stop it. It's just, we're here forever. We're gonna stream your D&D campaign. I'll just.
I mean, I've done not enough prep and would be terribly awkward, but like, sure.
Okay, mouse cursor's back.